Hello, welcome to AP Biology. My name is Nicole Fotiades, and I'm looking forward to sharing some information about this course with you. As you can see, I have some interesting pictures on this first slide, and the reason I put them up here is because I want to let you know that my number one goal, obviously, is to prepare your children for the AP exam in May and make sure that they have all of the knowledge and the skills and the tools that they need to succeed, but also to make and help them understand living things and how the natural world around them works. And I think it's important to provide them with examples that make biology real. So, we talk about cells, we talk about genetics, we talk about evolution, we talk about their immune system, but I think it's important to always relate it back to interesting and cool and real life examples. So those are just some of the pictures that I have here on the first page. So a little bit about myself. This is my 13th year at Summit High School teaching. I teach AP biology, and I also teach a lot of the electives here at the high school in the life science area. I do have some of your students in my anatomy class, but I do encourage anyone as a junior who might be interested next year in health sciences to look into exercise science and anatomy and physiology. AP biology is very molecular based, small scale, and a lot of the kids come in really interested in learning about body systems, but we do not cover a lot of body systems in AP biology because we're really focused on what they, need to know for the exam, and then we can have some fun once the exam is over with the systems, but they'll get that in anatomy and exercise science if they're interested. I live in Summit. I attended the middle school and the high school. I graduated from Muhlenberg College with a bachelor's in biology, and I have my master's in education and also educational technology. So, a little bit about the organization of the class. You might be aware of this just through Google Classroom or talking with your children. I always provide note sheets. It does say that they're optional, but I highly recommend to them that they handwrite their notes. I discuss with them that handwriting their notes, they learn the material so much better because when they're just typing it or copying it that way, they're not really thinking about what they're writing. It's kind of like a mindless effort. So handwriting it helps solidify that content, put it into their brains. So they will always have a note sheet that's posted for that chapter or chapters. As you can see below, we do cover 2 to 3 chapters at a time. So it's a lot of content, which is what stresses them out. So I do give them ample time for knowing when a test is going to be at least a week in advance, sometimes more. So I do try to encourage them that even though classroom or the whiteboard says that they don't have homework, that each night they should be doing a little bit of something when it comes to biology. They are given a time period to complete their notes at home. This is really something that is truly on their own, preparing them for college, where I'm not checking their notes each day in class, but in order for them to understand what it is they're hearing in class that day, they really need to have those notes taken. And I do give them guides as to what they should have done and when. So in class, we go over the important concepts and topics that they have taken notes on. So that's why I really encourage that they keep up with their notes and have the appropriate notes taken for class so that when they come in and we're discussing it, they can add to their notes. And I usually recommend that they add to their notes in a different color so they understand the notes that they took at home versus the notes that they took in class. The organization of the class is very inquiry-based, problem solving. It's not as much memorization anymore as it used to be like 5 to 6 years ago, where they just tested the kids on how well they could memorize vocabulary. It's more understanding. So, in order to foster that and create that, there's a lot of hands on activities to enhance their learning so that they can apply what they're learning in terms of the content to a real life scenario. Tests, obviously, I know that this is a big part of the class and a big stressor for the kids. They're coming from all different backgrounds in terms of chemistry. Some had an AP science before and some haven't. So it can be very stressful. They are given, like I said, ample time to an ample notice for that test. It says every 2 weeks typically, and I will give them a week's notice so that they know when to start studying. It is a lot of content. The questions on the test their understanding and not their ability to memorize, like I said. So they just got a big biochemistry test back, and there was a very large range of scores that they received. And what I want you to know and them to know, that this is really their first big AP biology test, that it is going to get better from here as they understand and learn how to study, that they can't just read over their notes, that they should write things out. They should talk about the content. I encourage them to talk about it with you. Ask them about what they're learning at the dinner table, because when they talk about it, when they write about it, they're internalizing it and they're remembering it. So their tests are always AP style questions. So these exams are hard. I don't want them to be surprised in May when they take the AP exam that, wow, the tests in class were so easy, but this exam is so difficult. So we really need to prepare them for what they're going to see in May. They do have a lab once or sometimes twice a week, and it's based on the content, very hands-on. And a lot of the labs that they do, they will see come up in questions within their tests and the AP test. So the big question that you have, that all of the students have, is how can I succeed? Okay, you saw their test score. Some of them were disappointed and some of them were really excited. Know that, 82 is a good score in biology, in an AP biology class for their first test. In the 70s, it's still a decent score. The averages usually sit around the high 70s, low 80s. But obviously they want to be better. So some of the ways to succeed, they really need to be doing biology every night, even if it's just like 20 minutes, whether it's recapping what they did in class or doing some practice problems in the book. So a little bit of bio each day so that they're constantly practicing. And as I said, encourage handwritten notes, not typing them up on the computer. Using their book. These are brand new, beautiful books. They have, great images in them and pictures to look at to help them understand topics. There are chapter reviews and chapter tests. The best way to study after they have reviewed their notes is to do practice problems. And they can get these practice problems from the book. Like I said, ask them about biology, force them. I know they don't like to talk, but talk about it because talking will help them learn. Encourage study groups. It can even be virtual. They all now know how to use Google Meet. So getting together with 2 or 3 friends is wonderful. I will go into my extra help on the next slide. I know tutors are always a big question, but I am here for them. A tutor is not necessary. If you saw the first test grade and you feel, oh my goodness, they need a tutor, that's not necessarily the case. Give it some time. Encourage them to see me. Also, I encourage test corrections. A lot of them took advantage of this on the first quiz, and I'm sure a lot of them will take advantage of this on the next on this test. they have 1 week to complete their corrections, and they will go back, they will figure out what the right answer is and explain why. And every 4 questions is 1 percentage point, which can, mean a big difference for them. So I highly encourage test corrections. They really can come in at any time to do those, including lunch. The Albert AP question program, that's in the works. That program, I'm not sure if we've renewed, but as I'll talk about on the next slide, I'll show you some other resources that they can use. Being active in Google Classroom, checking it often. I post a lot of resources, a lot of videos. I think that watching videos helps reinforce the material. So just making sure that they're paying attention to the extra resources that I post. And then, of course, a positive mindset from them, but also you. So if you see a test grade that you've never seen before, try and remain positive. Encourage them to come see me. Encourage them to do test corrections. Help them study the next time, because their confidence is really key. When they sit down for that next test, having the confidence that they can succeed, that they know the material, will help them with their grade. Okay. And this is a little bit on exam details. I won't go into too much with this, but there will be a letter mailed out soon about the AP exam, the cost, and how you sign up. I will encourage them to get a review book by December. And, Princeton Review or Barron's is just fine. Because again, practicing is what's going to help them succeed in this course. The grading policy, exams are 60%, so it's a good chunk of their grade, but their labs and their classwork is 30%. And, these kids are very diligent workers and very thorough. So most of the time, their labs and their classwork is a good grade. So it can help their test score along with their homework. These are just some of the big ideas we cover, as I kind of mentioned on that first slide with the pictures, but we really start at the molecular level, talking about cellular processes and energy transformations and how cells communicate. And then we get into genetics and evolution, and then interactions between organisms. And we have a lot of fun in the class. They learn a lot about themselves and about the world around them. Okay, so resources for them. Science Help Center. I'm sometimes there twice a day because as an elective teacher, I don't have labs in those classes. So I am on the Help Center. They know the periods that I'm there. And if they don't, they need to ask. Because if they're sitting in study hall and I'm out at the Help Center, they should come see me. Even if they don't think they have a question, we can sit and go over topics. They are all signed up for AP Classroom. I post, optional assignments, and I highly encourage that they do them because it includes practice questions and helps go over content. They all have signed up for the online book, so they can access the book anywhere for questions and things like that. I'm available for before school help and also during lunch, which a lot of them have seen me during lunch already. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Google Classroom for resources. And then my website below, which I don't use as often as I use Google Classroom, but if you wanted to see it, it is there. Okay, well, that is all I have for you. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. And I hope you have a wonderful evening.